This question comes from Foster Taylor in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He said he recently listened to the Berkshire Hathaway 2008 annual meeting where you talked about global oil production. At the time, you talked about major ramifications if global oil production went below 85 million barrels in 25 years. We are at the 14-year mark and global oil production looks to be 79 million barrels. At the same time, we're depleting our strategic oil reserves. Should the United States be doing something differently, and do you see consequences to these actions in the next 10 years if we do not become more proactive?
Well, Charlie's the expert on oil.
Well, that
only compared to me.
Samuel Johnson said it's hard to determine the order of precedency between a louse and a flea. It's hard to tell which of us is more incompetent in oil.
Yeah, we're still competing.
I have a different view on this subject. I like having big reserves of oil. If I were running the benevolent despot of the United States, I would just leave most of the oil we have here and I'd pay whatever the Arabs charge for their oil, and I'd pay it cheerfully and conserve my own. I think it's going to be very precious stuff over the next 200 years. And nobody else has my view, so it doesn't bother me. I just think they're all wrong.
Yeah. Well,
but at any rate, that is not the normal view.
And we've been pretty flexible in our own view. I mean, actually, the federal government is serving up however many billion barrels of the stuff that into the economy. And it wasn't that long ago that the idea that anybody produced a barrel of oil was somehow something terrible. I mean, just try doing without 11 million barrels a day and see what happens tomorrow. It is something that everybody has a feeling on immediately, and this gets into a whole bunch of different tribes of sorts, and you offend an awful lot of people if you talk in any way about it. But in the end, I think, at the moment at least, most people feel that it's nice to have some oil in this country than not have it, and we're using a lot of it. And if we were to try and change over in 3 years or 5 years, nobody knows what would happen, but the odds that it would work well are extremely low, it seems to me. Charlie, why don't you say something more dramatic so you'll be the one that offended the most people?
Well, if you stop to think about it, the oil industry is being so vilified now. I can hardly think of a more useful industry, and I don't know about wildcatters, but certainly the petroleum engineers I know, and the people who design our oil refineries and pipelines are some of the finest and most reliable people I know. And I see very little trouble with the oil supply thing in the United States. So I'm basically in love with Standard Oil. And I don't have this feeling that it's an evil, crazy place. I wish the rest of the world worked as well as our big oil companies.